Ronda will be here in 2 minutes. Sold out tonight, 15,525 tickets, a gate of $1.4 million. The bonuses tonight were $50,000 each. Submission of the night, Robertson. KO of the night, Lawler. And fight of the night, Bermudez versus Grice. Congratulations to all of them. They won $50,000 each. Good job. You got the first question. Kevin Ioli.
Question for Liz. Liz, when you got Ronda's back there, you went for the choke and then the neck crank. Did you think you were close at any point? And can you talk about what was going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, neck crank's always hard to pull off. I mean, if the person has a lot of heart, they can fight through it. Then, like she did, she was successful. And then I figured down where I have teeth marks actually from getting on her mouth, thinking that maybe I could get her to tap just by knocking some teeth out and just see if I work out.
And, when you were on the ground, you were able to defend against the armbar for quite a long time, and obviously you had practiced that. Can you talk about sort of where she ended up getting you? Did you make a mistake, or was it just a good technique on her part?
No, she had a great technique, and she kept alternating how she was trying to pull the armbar, and ultimately she got it.
And then last question for you, did she surprise you with anything? Was she stronger than you thought, quicker than you thought? Was there anything about her going into the fight that you had a preconceived notion on that you changed from being in the cage with her?
No, she came out exactly how I expected.
Great fight. Dane, I was just wondering your reaction to the main event, and when Liz got her back, that was really a dramatic moment. What was going through your mind?
It was awesome. I mean, anybody who's ever rolled before knows when somebody gets your back and puts that on your jaw and on your teeth and on your face, that is no fun. I don't think Ronda's going to be eating a lot of food at her after-fight party tonight.
And then last question, I'll give the mic to someone else. What was your take on the Henderson-Machida fight? And obviously the crowd didn't like it. What was your take? And will Lyoto get the title shot that you promised?
That's one of those fights that the first round, how you score the first round, tough to score. Lyoto gets the top position and drops a few bombs before the end of the round. Second round was that. And the third round, neither one of them did anything in the last 3.5 minutes. So it's anybody's fight. I gave it to Machida barely.
Does he get the title shot now still?
Yeah, he just beat the #1 contender, which would make him the #1 contender.
I guess to follow up on that, I mean, a lot of people are saying that maybe you wouldn't name a title shot right away, depending on maybe how Alexander Gustafsson does in April. But you feel confident saying that even with that performance that left the crowd going, that Machida's the guy?
Listen, Dan Henderson's one of the toughest guys in the sport. You don't knock Dan Henderson out when you're in there. Lyoto took some big shots from Dan. Dan took some big shots from Lyoto. It wasn't a barn burner. It wasn't the most exciting fight you've ever seen. You won't be writing stories about this fight till the end of time, but Lyoto won the fight. He beat the #1 contender. He beat Dan Henderson.
I guess the fight, we may be writing stories about the main event. All week long, we were trying to figure out what's the best way that this could work out for everybody that's going to help women's MMA. What did you think? I mean, could there have been a better story for you to write?
There's a lot of things that I'm really naive to. It's 2013, and I never expected such goofy backlash from people about two women headlining a main event. What was awesome was, for once, I can actually praise the media. The way that the media handled this fight, mainstream, was awesome. I think that this fight got the respect it deserved, and then some. I mean, it was blown. I mean, SportsCenter was tweeting all night about the fight tonight on Twitter, and they were the front page of CNN, Sports Illustrated, and ESPN.com, and just the way that the media treated this fight was amazing. I really respect the way that this fight was treated, and then those two went in and delivered tonight. Like I said, at the pre-fight press conference before we even got here, and we had a $1.4 million gate, these two girls went out tonight and showed everybody what it's all about and what they do and what they have. They both look like professionals. And the other thing too is that Liz Carmouche was a big setup. She was brought in here for Ronda Rousey to smash and all this other stuff. She's 7-2. You know what I mean? Ronda's got 6 fights, but if you count her amateur, she's got 9 fights. So they really have the same amount of fights. And Liz Carmouche came in and proved tonight that she belonged there. She almost finished the fight.
She looked like you're right.
And one final question, if I could. I know that cuts have been a big discussion this week. Mr. Grice has been through a rough stretch, but that was one heck of a fight. Is it safe to say we'll see him again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Listen, just to, the cut thing, when I told you guys we're over 100, that's an absolute fact. And me and Joe Soap were talking about this tonight. There's going to be a night when we put on a card where there are going to be 15 guys we cut. And then there's going to be a night when we put on a card where we don't cut any of the losers. You know what I mean? Like when these guys came back after that fight, obviously he was really upset. I said, that's one of those fights that there's no loser. There is no loser in that fight. When you turn on your TV set and you put down your money or you buy a ticket, that's what you expect to show up and see. As a fight fan, those are the kind of fights you want to watch. And those are the kind of fights guys won't get cut. It's pretty easy, pretty simple.
I got a question for Dennis and for Matt. First, Dennis, what were you thinking that third round when you were blasting away with uppercuts and this man would not go down?
This dude's tough. And I was drilling away and he wasn't jumping. Like, man, will you pull it out already?
And Matt, for you to be involved in that kind of a fight, like Dana just said, it's not hurting your stock at all. How do you feel coming out of it?
I just need to go back and watch it again. I think it was a really close fight, and got a lot of respect for Dennis. He's a tough competitor, and I didn't come away with the W tonight. I'm stoked to get the fight of the night, but I'd give it back for a win any day. My goal is to come here and win, and the fight of the night's a bonus. But I came to win, so but hats off to Dennis. He won, so.
Bernard, one last question for Urijah. Can you walk us through the ending of that fight? Because it seemed to happen real fast, like how everything went down, and you were just on his back and go from there.
Yeah, it was just basically, I think I attacked the neck before I had his back. Kind of like jumped on his neck and then had like a body lock with the arm in and kind of moved myself around. I don't remember exactly. I got to take a look at it, but just saw an opportunity and took it. And I knew going into that fight that Mentor's not afraid to go to the ground or stand up or anything like that. I knew that was going to play to my advantage big time. I'm a very dangerous fighter in a lot of different areas, but the ground game is one of my strongest attributes.
Do you think it was funny that a lot of people were talking about how these two look a lot alike and they both had the same move tonight?
I was waiting for that. I was watching this like, oh man, I can just see this now. Talking about the twins and their move together. I was saying back there watching the fight.
I was just hoping to get Leoto your thoughts on being the #1 contender. Dana said that this fight, moves you into that slot because that's where Graham was. What were your thoughts on potentially fighting for the 205-pound belt again? And you talked about a 185. Is it safe to say that you're going to shelf that and see what happens with this 205 shot?
O que você acha agora de ser o container número 1? Você vai querer essa oportunidade de lutar pelo cinturão ou ainda quer receber a etapa?
Não, agora eu vou ficar na 205, essa oportunidade que foi me dada. Eu vou ficar aqui que eu quero lutar quero essa luta pelo cinturão.
Now with this opportunity, I want to stay at 205. I want to fight for the belt.
Give your thoughts on a rematch with John Jones. What would be different? And when you look back on the first fight, what are the mistakes that you need to fix in order to be successful in the second fight?
Fala como é que seria essa revanche, o que você precisa consertar?
I think it's too early to say. I have to see the first matchup against Charlson and John Jones, and then we will see what happens.
Dan, can you give your thoughts on the fight? We received an email with just a quick sentence that said you thought you won and that you won the fight whenever he would engage with you, basically. Can you just expand on that a little bit? We got a quick quote from the UFC.
I haven't quoted anything yet. I just, in my mind, I thought I did enough to win the fight, but, it was my fault. I don't place the blame on the judges. I should have been a little bit more aggressive. I let him fight his fight a little too much. And that's kind of where, I apologize for that. Normally that's not my type of fight, a little bit boring. He did a good job moving around and was real hard to hit, and I needed to stay in his face and cut him off a little better and make him fight. And, he did a good job not fighting. So, just picking and choosing when he threw some strikes. So, he did a good job moving, and I shouldn't have let the judges decide that fight.
Where are you sitting now mentally? Where do you go from here? I'm sure it's disappointing obviously tonight for you, but what would you like next, and then what's your thought process on that?
Well, obviously I'm bummed out. I wasn't planning losing. And I'm not by any means done. I still have goals I want to reach in the sport, and I want to fight as soon as I can. I'm ready to go in June or July. I didn't have the best last few months, but I feel really a lot better now, and I want to be real active this next year. That much time off is never good, but I don't want that to happen again. I'm getting a little old.
Dana, if you could answer this, you had mentioned that Liz Carmouche was kind of brought in to be a role player here to, be the opponent for Ronda Rousey, and she had a great showing tonight. I know you said that means that she belongs, but how much does that loss on her record, does it impact things? Do you have things in mind for her and how that?
Yeah, no, she's in the UFC and she's one of the best in the world. See what happens next. I guarantee you this is what I promise you. She's gonna have a fucking kitchen table. That I can promise you. And a couch. Whatever other shit she wants.
She needs a car! That's right!
Liz, can you take us to the last couple of seconds of the fight and describe as precisely as possible what the armbar was like?
I don't know if you've ever been armbarred to really understand what you go through. Just imagine bending back your finger and to a point where it's not meant to go. I didn't know how much time I had left, otherwise I probably would have let it break just to go into the second round. I thought it was good. It was locked in, and she was able to work into another position and unlock my hands. But otherwise, up to that point, I felt like I was good.
Question for you, Robbie, Lawler. Good to see you again. Just curious on your thoughts on coming back to the UFC in general, and then also just on your performance tonight. Josh Koscheck is never easy to beat. Just curious how you're feeling about it.
It was awesome coming back. The whole week was amazing. It was awesome to work at the UFC. Josh is a game opponent, but I felt very strong at 170 when he took me down and he was on top of me. Did not feel heavy at all, and I felt like as soon as I got back to my feet, I was going to stop him. So eventually, that's what I was trying to do. But I felt great.
And much has been said around, behind the scenes here. We were all curious about your decision to train with ATT. What led to that decision to change camps, and how do you feel about it?
Well, I was getting a lot of good work with my wrestling up at Iowa training, but I needed more all-around game, the striking, the jiu-jitsu at a high level, and I had a lot of good coaches down at ATT to work with. They pushed me. Everything was smart. Everything was precise, and I had a great training camp.
Okay, great, thanks. And one last question. This one's for Court McGee. Just after your loss to Nick Ring, I'm just curious if you felt, extra pressure in light of, a close decision there and people being cut, and, do you have a loss here, a win there, a loss? I'm just curious how you felt going into this and how you feel about your performance.
Initially I did, but right before I walked out, I just said, I don't care if I win or lose, I'm just going to give it everything. And then I got the best advice I've ever been given. And I take suggestions and I take advice pretty well. And the directions I was given was punch him in the face and as much as you can. Keep it simple. So that's what I did.
Thanks.
Dana, as far as the promotion of this fight, of the main event, is there anything that surprised you, or as far as anything at any point where you thought maybe you turned the corner?
Yeah, there was a story written about how bad the gate did. Second and third day out. I'm kidding, Dave. But You know, I believed in this fight. I know I was the one who was talking smack about women's MMA, but I believed in this fight, and I believed in it enough to make it the main event. I knew that it deserved to be the main event, and I don't know, man. I just felt it. I felt like this thing was gonna. I felt like this thing was gonna be big. I can tell you this. I'd be a complete liar if I stood up here and told you that I thought that the media would treat this fight the way that they did. I didn't see that coming at all. But you know, I really, really do respect the way that it was handled and how much attention it got. I thought that it deserved, especially after I did it. After I made the decision to do this, and some of the comments that I heard from some ignorant people, I was really, really happy and impressed with the media and the way that they handled this thing. Was awesome.
And for Liz, is there anything as far as like, you know, you lost the fight and everything, any kind of satisfaction or something where you can look back and go, you know, you were in the first match and it was, you know, the match itself was a huge success?
Yeah, of course, I take away from it that I gave her a run for her money and I had her there for a second, and I'm honored just to be a part of the UFC, and I take that away. This is a monumental mark in history, and to participate in that is just, words can't even explain it. But of course, I'm my hardest critic, and I'm hoping for more. I'm looking forward to coming back to reclaim myself.
Dana over here. I was curious if you're looking at the winner of Miesha Tate and Kat Zingano next to face Rousey.
At the winner of what?
The Miesha Tate and Kat Zingano fight to face Rousey next.
That would make sense.
And how long do you think it'll take with the UFC ranking system with the women to finally be ranked in the categories that the UFC currently has?
Well, you know, it's not like all these girls came out of nowhere. You know, the media that covers the sport knows who these women are and knows what they've done. You know, I think the rankings will be out on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day we're doing them on.
Oh, so they will be included in this
I think so, yeah.
Great.
I don't know the answer to that, but if the answer was no, the answer is yes now.
Hi, this question's for Liz. Your army of fans, the Lizbos, are out in full effect tonight. I want to know what you have to say to them.
All I have to say is thank you. They really made this fight possible, pushing on Twitter, and thank you for making the show that you guys did. I really appreciate it.
And one more question.
Just for the record, that had nothing to do with Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
Had nothing to do with Twitter. It had to do with her, who she is, and what she's done.
Do you have any advice for the girls coming in since you paved the way tonight? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, absolutely. If they have a dream, pursue it with all their heart. The only one that can tell them they can't do something is themselves. So as long as they set their stakes high, they can achieve anything.
All right, hey Dana. Want to get your take on the Koscheck Lawler finish? And if you thought, a lot of people on Twitter thought that it might have been a little bit early. What was your take on that?
What was the question?
On the Koscheck Lawler finish.
Koscheck was out. Yeah. Koscheck was out. It was one of those weird knockouts where he was out, and then Lawler hit him a few more times and woke him up. You could tell when Koscheck got up, Koscheck didn't even know what happened. He had no clue what happened. He watched it on the screen.
And Ronda, congratulations on the win. And just wanted to ask you, kind of, how did your octagon debut kind of fill with your nerves, and was it kind of what you anticipated?
I mean, the nerves weren't really that bad at all. I felt like right when I was in there, it was like last time I was in there was yesterday. And then the second I walked out, it seemed like I was there a million years ago. It's like a weird kind of limbo place to be in, I guess. But no, I didn't feel nervous.
And where were you when Liz had that rear naked choke? And it sounds like your mouthpiece might have fallen out, and she has bite marks on her arm, and kind of what happened there?
Oh yeah, she had like a cross face. It was across my face, and actually dislocated my jaw when I was a kid. It's like a weird injury there, and she went across and was pushing her mouth guard out, and her arm went past my teeth. So I'm sorry, it was not intentional at all, dude. Yeah, it was a tricky situation to be in, and especially after I saw Urijah earlier that day, I was like, uh-oh. So, yeah, I wasn't worried, but I was very aware of the severity of the situation.
Question for Leono. I noticed you're preparing for Dan Henderson, a wrestler, world-class wrestler with the big overhand right hand, and you brought in Dutch kickboxer Melvin Manoff. What was the thinking there? What did he bring to the camp to help you prepare for Dan?
Qual foi a razão de trazer o Melvin para treinar para um cara como wrestler como o Henderson?
Porque mesmo ele sendo wrestler, ele é um cara que é um tocador, ele gosta de tocar. Então o Melvin veio aqui para ajudar também nessa parte.
Even though Dan is a wrestler, he likes to strike and he's got good hands, so Melvin came out and helped me work on my striking.
Ron, I got a question. You've heard the reaction from Dana and Liz about the main event and how you guys really delivered. Can you give us your thoughts on, making history tonight and, you guys really did deliver?
I just thought it was a great fight, and I feel like we really did live up to all the whole hype of all of it. The place was going nuts, and I'm glad it was a full house, and I'm just honored to be a part of it. This is something really special, and I think it's going to take a little while to really sink in.
And I got a question for Urijah Faber. Urijah, now that you're, coming off an impressive win tonight, and, you have Hendon with the interim belt, and we're still not really sure what's going on with Dominic. Back here for you. So my question is, you've always been on the top of the class. Are you looking to get back in there with Barrow? I know you've always wanted that other rematch with Cruz. What's on your mind as far as what you want next?
I'm not sure, just whatever comes at me. I get from all the reporters, it seems like all the drama in my life is from reporters asking funny questions. And the reason I've had a lot of title shots is because I've been at the top of the weight class for 10 years now. My third fight in the sport was a title fight before any big organization had a weight class, and it's been that way for a long time. It's not like I was ranked number 3rd going into this fight, number 3 going into this fight, and I performed well. So whatever these guys want to do. As long as Dan is not going to cut me this time, which you guys started, not him. But, I'm just ready to fight whoever. I felt great going to this fight. I keep getting better and better. I feel like, I get more comfortable with my stand-up. And it is true that our sport is getting tougher and tougher. You got these young kids that are growing up and eating and breathing. Everything's MMA. And I feel like I was one of the trendsetters, that I was like that as a little kid myself before there was even the UFC. So it's great to see the new generation come in, and I'm right there. I'm ready to do this. I was joking about having gray hair and knee surgeries and stuff like that because people are asking dumb questions about retiring. I'm like, retiring? I feel great, man. I'm 33 years old. I feel amazing.
This is Dana. Dana?
Yep.
Was there a rematch clause in case Liz pulled up the upset? And when's the next fight in San Diego?
The answer is no, and that's boxing, my friend. We don't do the whole rematch clause thing. And San Diego, I don't know, but I hope soon.
Great, thank you. Great fight.
Thank you, thank you.
For Ronda, please, I know that you said it might take a minute to let this all kind of sink in, but I know you wanted to be here and you dreamed and believed that this could happen. So now that you're sitting up there, what do the feelings feel like versus, kind of what you dreamed and what you expected?
I don't know. I don't know how many adjectives I have right now. It's kind of odd. I'm very, very happy right now, but it's just like, it's just starting to all feel normal a little bit, sitting up here and all this stuff. So I think tomorrow when everything dies down, when I can finally sit in a room by myself and digest, is when I'm going to run around and do a little dance. But right now I'm too tired to dance.
And I guess maybe to kind of follow up on that, you did give up so much of your privacy, there was so much media attention around you. What are you hoping moving forward? Are you comfortable being this face of women's MMA, and are you hoping to get a private life back a little bit?
Well, for the next week, I'm probably going to fall entirely off the grid as much as I can. And if I see anyone, I'm not going to talk about me at all. There's no more talking about me for a whole week in my house, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to have a week off and be alone in private. That's all right with everybody. But it's been cool. It's been a lot, though.
That's the other thing, too. When we're talking about the media coverage of this thing, these two girls worked their asses off, selling this fight. They did a great job. Everything that they had to do, they're up at 5 in the morning, going to do the media obligations. It's refreshing having people that go in and do the shit they're supposed to do. I like it.
This is a question for Urijah. Urijah,
you were coming off of a hard loss against Henry Burrell, and you brought in a new, kind of a switch up in your coaching staff. What have you been working on to develop your game further? So in those rematches against the top dogs at the division, what are you going to do differently with that new strategy?
You know, it just depends. I got to talk to your coaches and reassess things. And we have Dwayne Ludwig who came in, and those who know Dwayne, he's one of the hardest working guys in our sport, which matches great with Team Alpha Male. And just adding to the coaching staff that we already have and all the people that are coming to help. But I'll figure it out. You know, I know I'm just like barely away from having that belt. I lost to Burrell, who's an incredible fighter. I broke my rib. Me in the first round broke my rib, and didn't get crazy there. I like to get a little wild, and wasn't able to open up like I wanted to. So maybe do that a little bit earlier. And then against Cruz, just I feel like I want to do whatever I want when I get in there. You know, I mean, Dominic's very, very tricky as well, but I actually had an easier time doing damage to him than I did with Burrell. I don't know if it was the rib or what, but I'm ready for whatever. I just have to make some small adjustments and continue to move forward.
And a question for Liz too. We heard what Ronda was going to do when she goes back home, and obviously both of you are running the gauntlet as far as your media, obligations go. What's the first thing you're going to buy?
Food. My birthday was on Tuesday, so we went to Morton's Steakhouse. I got to watch everybody else eat, and they brought out cheesecake, which I'm completely okay with. Like, I love seeing people eat, so it's fine. But it's probably going to be a creme brulee cheesecake, and then from there, who knows?
We'll take two more questions.
Yeah, Liz, congratulations on a courageous effort there. Came up a little short, but fantastic effort. At one point there in the middle of the first round, it seemed like you had your hands clasped behind your head on the ground, almost like you were maybe trying to lure Ronda in. I'm not sure exactly. Was there a strategy there?
No, it's always common practice for us when you get to the ground. You don't want to keep your head undefended, because if she throws a kick and it lands, or throws a punch, then your head has nowhere to go except the mat, and then you can get knocked unconscious for something that you ultimately can protect yourself from.
One more question. You got the last one.
Question for Ronda. Ronda, the other day when Dana put the belt on your shoulder, you frowned at him and you didn't seem too happy. Was it a little better scenario than he grabbed the belt tonight when he gave it to you?
Yeah, I mean, when he first told me that we were gonna do this, I told him that I wouldn't feel like the actual UFC champ until I won a fight in knockdown. He personally put the belt on my waist, and so yeah, I really feel like I can comfortably live with calling myself that title now. But I was a little bit uncomfortable before, and I wouldn't hold the Strikeforce belt before, even after I won it. It's just kind of I want to feel like I'm on the same ground with my opponent when we come in, and not like I'm coming in at an advantage, because I'm not.
And then the last question I wanted to ask you, there was a lot of critics out there, even people saying, who wants to watch somebody armbar another person in a minute? Do you think that, the performance you gave tonight, you fought off a very, good opponent, you almost had a submission, and then you did other things. Do you think that kind of vindicated in any way yourself and made the critics have to say, hey, you're wrong?
Well, from the sound, like what the crowd was like tonight, it seems like everybody was really happy and they liked the show, and the critics are going to criticize regardless. That's why we call them critics. So all the people that had a good time tonight, I'm happy you were entertained.
So I really want to say one more time, I really want to thank all the media for all the support for this fight. It was incredible. It was awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great night.